The Denver Broncos get some brutal AFC West news as one of our bitter rivals, who I was hoping was just going to continue doing that death spiral till they drop down the drain. Actually looks like they're a legitimate franchise, and that takes 2 penciled wins off of the table next year and actually puts them into contention. But we get some good news about the refereeing changes the NFL is going to make. We have news about the future of free agents on this current team. So much we got to break down. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. Cramming this in before a choir concert right off work. I'm just classing the joint up, just on my suit and tie. Let's roll. All right, so the brutal news. We had hoped so much in Denver that the Raiders were going to continue to Vegas Raider. They each year get all of their hopes up, and they truly have some blue chippers on that team. But they haven't had a quarterback and a competent coach in a long time, and they continue to be paying coaches who aren't even in the NFL anymore. So automatically upgrading to Pete Carroll is a big bummer for us, because I think Pete Carroll is the most competent coach they've had with the Raiders organization in a long, long time. Well, now you are hearing some pretty legitimate news that there's a chance that Matt Stafford goes to join the Vegas Raiders. So you go from Antonio Pierce, who's a complete clown show, and Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, and you upgrade that from that coach-quarterback combination to now all of a sudden Pete Carroll and Matt Stafford. That automatically ramps that team up by at least 5 wins. They'll have Christian Wilkinson back and healthy, and I think he's a better defensive tackle than even Chris Jones. They have the best tight end in football in Brock Bowers, and so I was legitimately hoping they were going to get Ben Johnson, because I still think he could flame out and be the next hot Mike McDaniels candidate who loses control of that locker room. And then they were going to give a run at Shadeur or go get Aaron Rodgers, or with Pete Carroll, like there was a lot of talk that even Russell Wilson would come to join, and nothing would make me happier than a Pete Carroll-Russell Wilson reunion, because we know what Russell has left in the tank. And then even hearing that there was a talks of Geno Smith coming and going to with Pete Carroll. But now that Tom Brady is an owner, we know ownership matters. Like that is what has led to this turnaround, is having the Walton Pennership ownership group in Denver. You now have a very competent owner in Tom Brady, and if he brings Matt Stafford, that's going to be brutal. We will automatically ramp up to the best division in football. We already had 3 playoff teams last year, and now you were talking about a competent Raiders organization, the Chiefs with Reed and Mahomes, obviously the Chargers with Herbert and Coach Harbaugh, and then Bo Nix and Sean Payton. That we are going to just absolutely pummel each other. And I think if the Raiders get Matt Stafford, you are now talking about it'll be very hard to have 3 AFC West teams in, because we all have to play each other twice a year. So you're going to automatically probably lose one of those playoff teams, because we've all gotten better. We'd all counted on the Raiders being that penciled in win that we had each year. And as you look at our schedule for next year, we really are now down to 3 gimme games at home. Like we get to play Jacksonville, doesn't scare me. The Titans definitely don't scare me, and I'm not scared of the New York Giants. And I even think that the Dallas game doesn't scare me that much. And I like, we'll be in all the rest of these games and have a chance of winning. But you went from 4 gimme games to now 3 if the Raiders get him. And then again, looking at our away schedule for next year, you have a competent coach there. Like that's a scary thing. And you're only talking about 1 road gimme game. I like how we match up against the Colts. I love how I think Bo Nix will play one of his best games against Jaden Daniels and show who the better player was in that draft class. And I'm not all bought in on CJ Stroud and think we match up well there. I also think there's no possible world in which we let the Chargers sweep us again next year, and we outplayed them that first half and really fell off in that last game in LA last year. So it's going to be crazy to watch, but man, watch out for the AFC West. The energy is legit and it is real, because man, the Raiders are becoming competent, and that's the worst news you could possibly have. Now, the good news that we got when it comes to AFC West, especially, is the biggest thing that we have had a chip on our shoulder is just how favorable the refs have been to the Kansas City Chiefs for really since Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift. Well, it looks as if the NFL is implementing a new electronic measuring system, and that would really eliminate a lot of these advantages that the Chiefs have gotten. That Buffalo Bills game, there were multiple times that there were first downs that then were remeasured and somehow weren't first downs. And so I think you're starting to see the NFL come off of favoring the Chiefs. And I think this is an advantage for us, because it just takes out any subjectivity that the refs could do to give favors to the Chiefs. So I guess it is a mixed bag of news, and let's truly just keep rooting that the Raiders do Raider things and they end up getting Russell Wilson, or that Stafford goes to the Giants or Stafford goes somewhere else. Let's keep him out of Vegas, please. Or even, I think Shadeur Sanders is going to be a good quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be making the playoffs in the next couple of years. So let's hope that the Raiders fall in love with Shadeur and try to trade up for him. Or if they go get Matt Stafford, let's hope it takes multiple first rounds out of their arsenal to go get him. So I guess that's how we will be rooting and cheering for that. Next thing we got to just quickly cover here is Denver Broncos players on this team and who's coming back next year and who's not. So right now at the NFL Combine, you got George Payton, who's going to be talking to the agents of both DJ Jones and Courtland Sutton. And those are both guys that I really want back on this team. And so we will keep you up to date on how that's going. But just know that Sean Payton and George Payton are meeting with those representatives. While Courtland Sutton isn't a complete game changer, he still is a wide receiver one, and I think he's going to be crucial to Bo Nix's development. And then when it comes to DJ Jones, you are hearing guys like Zach Allen come out and say that DJ Jones is the best, or his favorite player he's ever played with at any level of football. And so he is a glue guy in that locker room. And a crucial part of stopping the run, which we've done really, really well this year. And so we're going to definitely keep an eye on that. Last thing, as we were talking about this, I just thought this was a cool note that as they are at the Combine right now, their job right now is to try to fall in love with 4 different players and find which of those 4 players is going to be on the clock still when it hits number 20 and Roger Goodell gets up there and says with the 20th overall pick. And as we are watching, all we are hearing is like, I'm seeing a million tweets today about the Denver Broncos are meeting with this guy and meeting with that guy. And you see a lot of accounts on Twitter saying, oh, Broncos are meeting with Genty. That's their guy. Broncos are meeting with Warren. That's their guy. And I just thought this was a great tweet by Blue Ridge Bronco, who said that really, if you take a look at it, last year at the Combine, we met with 61 prospects and only 2 of those guys ended up being Denver Broncos. And so just realize like a lot of this is information collecting, and Sean Payton is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. And so he might be meeting with a player and collecting information on another player. And there's strategic times when these coaches intentionally meet with someone to do a smoke signal on the guy they really want, or don't meet with someone because they hope they fall to him, and it shows the league like, oh, we're not interested. We didn't even meet with them, just so that we can sweep in and get them. So it really, we cannot read a ton into who the Broncos are meeting with and who they're not. And that's definitely something we are going to be keeping an eye on. And then the last thing that I just thought was interesting, yesterday we talked about how Drew Sanders is going to be moving to that inside linebacker position, and I think that's going to be great. And as I rewatched George Payton, I watched his press conference live, and then I rewatched it, and I thought this was interesting. It stuck out to me too, and shout out to Respect My Co's on Twitter, who pointed this out as well, that George Payton did not mention Alex Singleton by name, and I had just kind of penciled him in as he's the guy who's going to be back next year, but it does save us tremendously in the cap if he's not with us next year. And so as I watched that and noticed that he didn't mention him by name, where he said a lot of other people by name. He mentioned Mims and Troy Franklin and Bo Nix, obviously, and he even talked about Javonte Williams might be back. But to intentionally say we're not naming any starters at that position and then not say Alex Singleton's name, maybe was a sign that Singleton is not back. So let me know in the comments, how are you feeling about the Raiders news? Do you think Singleton's back? And if you could only pick between DJ Jones or Courtland Sutton, who do you bring back? Either way, Broncos country, we got a lot to Bo-LIEVE in. Oh, that one was halfway down. Come on.